course. And as always, I hope that you have watched, enjoyed, and practiced our previous sessions and that you are ready for our new one. Today we have a lot of things to do. We are going to talk about text and its items and its settings and how we can work with them. Then we're going to talk about scribe fonts and what they are, how we can use them in this software. And then we will talk about the interior and exterior dimensions, and we're going to learn this awesome command called AutoDime and how we can use it to set our dimensions with a few clicks. All right, let's start this session. All right, so far we have completed our plan like this, and now we are ready to move on. All right, first of all, we're going to see how and when we can use texts. All right, the first usage that anyone could think of for text is when you want to show or display the usage of an area, when you want to name an area. To do that, you can actually use your objects as well. For example, if an area is specified for furniture, you can use furniture in it. But you can do that by using text more specifically. For example, you can say that this plan is belong to which floor, or you can show the details. All right, so let's start talking about this command. Now up here in your box in Home, you can see some of the items and settings about text, but if you want to have full access to all the items and settings relating to text, you can go to Annotate. And then in here, you can find anything that you want relating to texts. Now, first panel that we have here, it's about text and some settings that are related to your writings. And the second panel is about you can say dimensions and some settings related to them. All right, now we're going to start writing something. But before that, we're going to see how we can open up the text style window. Well, the first way is to just click here in your panel, and then you can easily open up your text style window. And another way is to use a shortcut key ST. Now you might think that text style initials are T and S, and so why don't we use TS for its command? Well, because we have TS, we use TS for some other command in this software, so we're just gonna have to use ST this time. And this is kind of like a exception, you can say. This is an exception in this software. So let's go through the items and settings that we have in text style window. Let's see what will we have here. First, we have this item called style, which shows different styles of your writing here in this window. And then down here we can see our fonts, and we can check the font that we are using for writing things. And then up here we have font name, which shows different fonts that we have downloaded or we have saved in AutoCAD, and now we can select between them and we can use them. Now, just like what we had in patterns, let's say that we don't like any of these fonts and we want to create our own. So we can click on New. Then for the name, we can type down, for example, New Style. Okay. And as soon as I click OK, I can see my font here. Now in here, let's select one of these fonts that we like to work with. For example, one of them that I have always liked is, let me just find it, is this one. Or again, you can use any other fonts that you want. It's based on your taste. Okay. The next item that we are going to talk about is size. Guys, you can use a few techniques, a few ways to change your font's size and scale. First is to check this annotative item. We're going to elaborate on this more later on, and we're going to talk about some other items if we had to, but for now, let's just leave everything and let's go with this new style that we have created. So apply, okay, and let's close down this window. Okay, now if we open up this item here, we can see some text styles that have been saved in AutoCAD, which we can use. For example, when we added furniture from another file into our file, some text styles have been added as well. But overall, now we have our new style that we have created. Now, guys, what is the short key for text? Come on, it's easy. T enter, yeah. Then you can do a click drag and create this kind of a framed object. Now you have this frame based on your click drag. Now we can just start typing things in this frame that we have. For example, let's type down architecture. Okay, this is our text here. Don't worry about its size and scale. Now we are going to talk about that annotative item that we checked. Let's see what it does. Now that I have my text, I can use something down here in my toolbar. You remember the toolbar? We had something called annotation scale of the current view. And remember, this is completely different from the scale that you had in your drawings. Now, if this item is not activated for you, you can easily just open up your customization and you can activate this item from here. Right now, this is set on 1 and 1. Let's put it on 1 and 2 and see what happens. So again, type down T enter, then draw your frame and let's type down architecture. And then click outside your frame. If you click inside your box, inside your frame, it's going to move to the next line. Now what happened here is our text got doubled in size. Now this time, let's set it on 1 and 4. So remember, first set your size, then activate your command. Now T enter, then draw your frame. Well, actually, before typing anything, it's obvious that my text size have got increased. Okay, as you can see here. So one of the ways that we can control the text size is with that annotative item that we checked. So one thing that we can understand here is when the right number gets larger, our text size would get larger too. Now, let's see what's going to happen if the left number gets larger. Let's just draw the frame, then type down architecture. Click outside the frame. So as you can see here, what happened here is our text size got cut in half. So we can find out that if we increase our left number, our text size would become smaller. So this was annotation, and it is very, very important. Now, another way to control the size is to select your text, then type down SC for scale. Then you can just change the size of your text manually like this. Or you can do something else. Control Z. Then again type down SC and give a number like 2. Or again SC 3. But if you set your scale in annotation, if you use annotation for setting your size, everything that you write from then on would be in that scale. Now, another way to control the size of our text is by pressing Control 1, and then in this window we have this item called paper text height, which we can control the text size in here as well. Right now it is on 1.20. Let's change it to 1, okay, or 0.5. So this was another way to control your text size. So these were 3 different methods which we can use to control our text scale. Now let's move on to other items. Let's type down T-enter again. But before that, let's put this on 1 and 2. Then T-enter, draw your frame. Now let's type down architecture. Then civil. Enter MEP. Alright, these are 3 different things that we write here. Again, if we click on our text, we can enter its settings, and after that it's like we are working with Word software. Okay, so let's select our text, our whole text, and up here let's see what items do we have in our settings. For example, first we can set our text place in our frame. We can put it in the right, left, or in the middle. So this was how we can control the location of our text in our frame. Then we have bullets and numbering. If you click on each of them, you can add some bullets or numbers. For example, we have 1, 2, 3. Or if you didn't want any number, you can just set some bullets like this, and you can actually control the distance between your bullets and your text. You can do a click drag like this and control the distance, or you can click on this part here, select this option, and add some initials behind your text. And you can actually set your letters on capital letters as well. So just like this, we can add some bullets, numbers, or some letters behind our text, or we can actually turn them off. Alright, let's see what else we have here. For example, with next items, you can control you can say the columns of your text, and this is actually based on you. This is not a essential thing to learn. You can check them yourselves to see how they work. And here we're just going to talk about the important items. For example, another way of changing your font and style of your text is from here. You can actually click or select one of these formats to use as your style. And if you want to set a color for your text, if you have created text layer in your layers, you can easily just select by layer for all of your texts, or you can easily select one of these colors that we have here, for example, red. All right, so let me just select all of my text here, and after that, let me set it on a good font. For example, let's say this one. Yeah, it's a good font. Now let's see what other items we have here for our font setting or our text settings. For example, you can add a line on your fonts or texts, or under your texts, or above them. Okay, and another way to control your text size is here. You can actually change this number here to change your text size. For example, 0.3. And if you check here, you can see that annotative option is on, so you can use annotation scale as well. All right. And as we said before, you can use these here to change your style if you have some styles to use. Okay, and after all of these, when you're done with your settings, and again, it is based on your taste, everything is based on your taste, you can just close down this and now you have your text. Now let's talk about some other important items. T-enter. Now let's select one of the styles that we have up here. For example, the standard style of the software. Now up here, we have another important item called symbol. This contains some important symbols for some important terms that you're going to work with. Like what? For example, like degree. And its symbol is percentage and a D after that. So if you press percentage key 2 times on your keyboard, then type down D after that, you'll have degree symbol. So as you can see in this window, we have some terms, and in front of them we have their shortcut key as well, and it is better to memorize them. Next item is +/-, and this item is very important, and we're going to work with this a lot. For example, we can use this in height codes when we are putting our height codes, and some people don't know about this, and as a result they type down their pluses and minuses separately, and this is completely wrong. Okay, let's see what other important item do we have up here. For example, we have diameter. Let me just type it down in the next line so you can see its symbol. I'm sorry. Next item that we can mention is angle. And all right, let's see what else we can talk about. The next important item that we can use is squared. All right. And another one, we can use cubed. And overall, these were some of the items and terms that you can use in your text, and some, you can say some of the symbols that you got familiar with. All right, now let's use all of these things that we learned to do something. For example, let's create a height code. All right, first we need to type down C-enter, because to putting down a height code, we need to use some kind of a circle. Then click in your workspace and give it a radius such as 0.2. Then we need an offset with through, and we can put our offset like this. Now I need to draw a line here, but first, something is happening here. What is it? I can't see my snaps. So we can go down here and select all of them. Now we can move on. So let's draw 2 lines like this. Then remove the exterior circle. Now we can put a hatch inside our circle. H-enter, solid hatch. And for its color, we can put it on by layer. And then set your hatchers like this. Now T-enter. Then draw your frame like this. And as you can see, the scale is too large. So we can go down here again, and from annotation scale, set the scale on 1 and 1. All right. Then T-enter, and again draw your frame. Now, as I said, before writing your height codes, you need to put a + - symbol. So from up here, select +/-. Oh, again something happened. Another happy mistake. Let's see what this is. Sometimes when you select a style to work with, that style might not recognize some of the symbols that you want to work with. So to prevent that, you can actually just use the standard style of the software itself. Now again, T-enter, then draw your frame, then select your symbol, and now we can write down our first height code, 0 and 0. And to modify it more, we can do this. And actually, you can turn this height code symbol to a block. So you can give it a command, and for name, you can choose anything that you want. For example, let's go with K. Then pick point is okay in the center, selection is okay. And now that we have our block, we can easily use it anywhere we want in our project. For example, we can put it here and here as well. But here we have stairs, so we can't use 0 and 0. It should be something less than 0 because we have 4 stairs down, and we said stairs have 18 cm width. So if we multiply it by 4, we have 72 cm. So in here, we select our height code to edit it. And here we don't need plus minus anymore. We just need what? We need a minus. And it was minus 72, yeah. So this is a height code for this area. So from now on, you can easily just set height codes wherever you want in your plan. For example, those areas with height differences. And it is very important to have them in your plan. And you know how to set them in your plan. Okay, let's see what else. Okay. Guys, another item that we can talk about, again, an important one, I forgot to tell you about it, is here. Up here we have mask. When we click on it, we'll see this window called background mask. If we activate this, and you can see that fill color is on red. And now if we click on OK, we would have this red background behind our text, as you can see here. Now we can select your phones and open up mask. Now if you look at here, we have another item called border offset factor. This would create an offset between the borders of your text and your background. For example, let's type down 5 and see what happens. As you can see, there is some kind of a distance between the border of our text and the boundary of our background. Alright, now let's open up mask again, and in here you can change the color as well. And let's change everything back 1.5. Or if you didn't want this item, you can actually deactivate it, or you can check this one. Use drawing background color. This way, the background of your text would be the same as the background of your workspace, as you can see here. But remember, because this is on fill, if you print your text out, the background would be black. So pay attention to this point as well. Let's deactivate all of them. So these were all of the important things that we can talk about regarding the command text. Now guys, whatever we just learned here were about English fonts and English language overall. Let's see how we can use different languages in AutoCAD and how we can prevent our fonts from being disorganized. For example, let's say we want to use Persian fonts and Persian language. For that, we are going to use something called scribe fonts. Now, scribe fonts are some kind of a list of different fonts that you can download, then set in your software path. Then you can load them in AutoCAD, and then you can use them. And how you can use them? You can use them like a command, for example, like line, rectangle, and so on. Okay, now let's go through them to understand them more and see how they work. Now, if you take a look at here, I have a file of all the fonts that I can think of that I can use in AutoCAD, or I can use them to open up other files in my software. For example, let's say that I have a file and I want to open it in my file in my AutoCAD. I need to have its particular font to read it. And in here I have scribe fonts as well. Now, you can do a right click on your AutoCAD and down here in properties, click on open file location. And then we're gonna open up this AutoCAD font file that we have here, and after that we're gonna press Ctrl A, Ctrl C. Then in here, we're going to find font file, and we're going to press Ctrl V to paste all the fonts. Now, because I have some of these, or actually I think all of these fonts in my AutoCAD, it asks me if I want to replace or skip them, so I say just skip them. And now, just like this, you have loaded all of these fonts and scribe fonts into your AutoCAD. Okay, now let's open up AutoCAD again, and in your workspace, you can either type down APP to open up this window, load and unload application, or you can do something else. You can go to manage, and from here, open up your window. Okay, now set your font path up here. And in here, we're going to find our scribe fonts, which we have it with Persian name, Kateb. Then if we click on load, it says Kateb Lisp successfully loaded. Alright, so after that, we can just click on close. And sometimes this window would appear afterwards, which is not very important, so we can just close it down. And now you can just type down Kateb to activate the command. But before working with a command, we're going to talk about and we're going to work with some settings. So let's open up text style. Then in here, let's click on new. For name, we can type down Kateb or, whatever you want. Now, to find Kateb fonts up here, we need to look for the fonts with SHX formats. So if I type down S in my search box, I can see all the Kateb fonts that I want, and they're actually both English and Persian. We just need to find the Persian ones because we said we want to use Persian fonts. Now, another way to recognize these fonts is in their beginning. They are usually start with this term NASK, or to be more precise, NASK. And now you can easily find them in a list between other fonts. Now I have selected this one. A very important point here is in effects, we have this item called backwards. This should always be activated when we are working with Kateb fonts. And this time, let's deactivate annotative as well. And let's change the scale of our text manually. All right, now after that, we can click on set current. Yes. And when we do this, we don't need to apply anything anymore because it would, all your settings would be applied automatically. Now, just remember, writing with these types of font is going to be kind of different. You can say particular, and you should try to get used to them. So activate your command. Now, before you write anything, make sure to activate your F8 so that you would write in a straight line. Now do 1, 2, and 3 clicks, and your command is activated. Now, about that particular thing that I told you, it's going to write down everything backwards. And another thing is, some of the terms and keys might be disorganized for you, and you can somehow solve this problem with pressing Shift. Okay, now let's type down architecture in Persian. It's me'mari. Now in here, we have capital A. We need to change that. And if you're familiar with Persian writings, you know that this is written backwards. So first, let's correct A with Shift. And after that, the rest of the letters. And remember, I said that this is not correct in Persian. This is backwards. And if we press Enter 2 times, this would be corrected. All right. And after that, you can press SC to change its scale as well, like this. And another point about this is that if we select our text here, we won't be seeing those items and settings that we had before. But you can use other techniques and commands that we had on this text. For example, you can use scale, or you can use rotate to, I don't know, rotate it or do any other thing that you want. So you can just use modifying commands on it. Now, let's do another example. Tab, type down. Now, with F8, 1, 2, 3 clicks. Now we want to type down civil. In Persian, we say Omran. Hold shift to change A and double enter. Now, we want to match the scale of these two texts. We can use match properties. All right. And after that, we can press Ctrl S to save our works up to here. Alright guys, so these were kind of everything about text, different fonts, different items and settings, how we can use scribe fonts, or we can say tabs, how we can write in other languages such as Persian in AutoCAD. And the only thing that you need to do is practice. And now you can use all of these techniques and items and commands to write down your plans information, for example, your floor, the usage of different areas and rooms in your plan. And you can type down, for example, the details for your plan. And yeah, that's it. Okay, actually, I forgot to tell you something about tabs. When you activate this command and you want to start writing, before we write anything, if we click on our workspace, some points, some dots would appear. Let's see what we can do to get rid of these. We can do a zoom out and then zoom in. This is one way. Or you can do another thing as well. You can type down dot bleep mode like this, and after that you can select this mode and turn it off, and then no dots would appear in your workspace. For example, when you are working with tab, let me just write something down. For example, that architecture thing in Persian, me'mari. But if you turn off tab and then turn it on again, before writing anything down, you need to turn off dot bleep mode as well. And after that, you can again start writing without any dots. And let's see. Yeah, another point that I can tell you about using tabs is when you turn off AutoCAD and turn it on again, if you want to use tabs again, you need to go to Load Application window by APP, and in here you need to load tabs all over again, and then you can use them. Okay guys, now that we're done with texts, we can start talking about dimensions. We're going to see what are they, how we can set them, what is interior dimension, what is the exterior dimension, and overall we are trying to turn our plan into something like this one, something like this plan that we have here. And as you can see, we have some dimensions inside our plan and some outside it. Those that are set inside our plan called the interior ones, and the second type are exterior dimensions. And you should pay a lot of attention when you're setting your dimensions. For example, all of them should be in one line, both horizontal and vertical. And after that, for some other areas, we can set dimensions, you can say separately. And after that, we're going to work on the exterior dimensions as well. But overall, your plan should be something like this. Okay, first, let's see what is this command, how we can activate it, and what settings it has. Okay, as we mentioned before, we can find this command in Annotate, and we can see all of its items and settings as well. For example, in here, we have different types of dimensions that we're going to talk about more later on. But first, we are going to check its settings. For that, We can either click here to go to your dimension style window, or we can type down D-Enter to open it up. Now in here, we can see that by default, its style is on standard, and you can either work with this standard style, or again, you can create your own style. In here we have new and we have modify, which if we click on it, we can modify the style that we have right now. But let's click on new, and for name we can use new style dime, let's say. And before we click on continue, we can check annotative as well, so that we could work with annotation scale 2. Okay, and after that, we enter its setting window. Now in here, we have so many items and tabs. And again, we are going to talk about the most important ones because you might never use all of them. All right, so the first thing that we can talk about is line. In here, we can see all of the settings regarding the dimensions of your lines. First, we have dimension lines, and for example, first we have colors in here. We can select, for example, red, and we can see it here. It's the line that you have set your dimension on it. Then we have line type. It should always be on by block or by layer. We can control them in layers as well. Then we have line weight. This should be on by block or by layer as well. Otherwise, it'll make some problems when you print out your work. Then in here, you can delete your dime lines, and actually just know this, and you shouldn't do that. So yeah, let's move on. Then we have extension lines. Which are these? These are the lines from which you get an offset and create your dimension lines. So in other words, these are those lines that are drawn aligned with your plan. Now let's select another color for them, for example, purple. Then again, we have line type 1, line type 2, and line weight as well. All of these should be on by block or again by layer. And again, you can delete your extension lines from here. All right, now if you take a look at this side, we have something called extend beyond dime line. What is this one? This is related to the extension of your dime lines that you have here, that you can see here, these lines that you have under your dimensions. We can change them to whatever we want, but the usual amount is 0.2. So there is a 0.2 distance between your dime line and your dimension. Then we have offset from origin, which shows the distance between your dime lines and your plan lines. And we can usually put this on 0.2 as well. For example, if you put this on 0.5, there would be a 50 cm distance, 50 cm gap between your dimensions lines and plan lines. Let's put it back on 0.2. So these were some of the settings that we have for dimension lines and extension lines. Let's move to another tab, for example, symbol and arrows. These settings are related to those symbols in both ends of your dimension lines. We can usually put this on architectural thick, which stands for thickness, or we can put it on oblique, which is a curved line without line weight. And a third option that we have that we can use in our projects is dot. So for example, for now, let's just put it on oblique. Then in here, in arrow size, we can change the scale of this symbol that we have. For example, if it was too large, we can put it on 0.1. Okay, the rest of the items and settings here are not that important. We can just leave them, and we can go to the next tab, which is text. In here, first we can select a style to use. We can select that style that we have created, or we can work with the standard style of AutoCAD. Then you can select a color for it. For example, let's go with blue. Then fill color. Try not to use this because when you print your work out, it might make some problems for you. So let's just put it on none. Again, we can see text height, which controls the scale of our text. Let's put it on 0.1. This is actually based on my experience. You can actually change it, or if we need to, we can change it to something else. For example, we can make it larger. Then the next item is text placement. For now, it's on center. We can change it to above to place it above the line, or we can set it outside the dimension line, but I'm gonna leave it on center. So for both vertical and horizontal, we select center. Then view direction, put it on left to right, which means we are writing left to right. And after that, we have offset from dim line. It shows the distance between your dimensions and line. And for now, it's on 0.09. Let us change this to 0.01 to see what happens. They got kind of attached to each other. So let's change it back to its default. Then in this side, we have text alignment. And for now, it's on horizontal. And this is actually the standard way. If we change it to align with dimension line, it would be set based on your dimension lines. So if we select that, we can see that all of the dimensions and text would be aligned with the direction of our lines. So let's just change it back to its standard mode. Okay, this was text. Now, next tab is fit. Now, the only important item here is this part, annotative. And if we haven't checked or activated this option before, these options here would be available to work with. And you could have changed the scale of your dimensions from here. So for example, now that this is on 1, if we change it to 2, all of the things that we have here, all of the items here, would get doubled up in size. But we have put this on annotative. Alright, the next tab is primary unit. In here, first we have unit format, and it should be on decimal. Then we have precision, and we can put this on 2 decimals. Next, we have decimal separator. Here we can choose the way to separate our numbers in our decimals. For example, we can choose period, or we can choose comma. Like in here that we have 1.20, we can have 1,20, or we can just put a distance between them. Let's change it back to dot. Then we have 2 other items here, prefixes and suffixes. And obviously you can use them to put something after your items, for example, after your text or dimensions. For example, we can use a meter after a dimension. Oh, I just closed down the modifying window. Let me just open it again because we still have work to do. So as you can see, we have this M after our dimension. So you can use these to put something before or after your objects. Now the rest of the settings here are not that important. We can move on, and the next tabs are okay as well. And I can't see anything that important to talk about. Yeah. All right. These were some important dimension style settings. This is activated. Click on set current and close it down. As you can see up here, new style dim is activated. All right. Now that we're done with dimension settings, we are going to start setting the dimensions in our project. All right, in here we have several dimension items, but we are going to talk about this one, linear. We can use this to set horizontal or vertical dimensions. All right, so let's activate this. And as soon as we do that, again, just like what we had in text, we will see this window which asks us about our scale. All right, the first dimension that we're going to set is for the side length of your building, from one corner, from one end to another. So we can click here and here, and we can set it up here like this. Can you see the extension line? Now there's a problem. This is too small. I can't see my text at all. So we can't use this. Let's delete it. And we're gonna put a scale annotation on 1 and 2. Now let's activate linear again, and from this point to this one, let's set the dimension and check the scale. Yeah, it's actually okay. Now to reduce the length of the extension line, you can set this here, and then you can move this up, or you can actually deactivate your extension line completely. But let me just type down enter and move the dimension up like this. Okay. Now guys, we forgot to check something. What do you think it is? We forgot to check the layer. So let's see, where did we set this? As you can see, we set this in Win layer. So we should put this on diamond axis. All right, and another thing that you should do is to activate your diamond axis layer so that you make sure that you are working in that layer. Okay, let's go back to annotate and activate linear. Now we want to set dimensions for axis like this, from axis to axis, and another one. Now, do you really think that this is the only way to do this? I mean, it takes a lot of time, don't you think? So let's use another technique. Up here, we have this item called continue. And after that, I can just click on my axis like this. Here, as you can see, we don't have enough space to put our text, so automatically it would put it up here. You see? This is very easy. We can just click axis to axis and set our dimensions. So, I mean, this is quite fast, yeah? Well, think again. We have another technique which is even faster. Up here, we have quick dimension. You can easily just activate it, and after that, in your axis, draw something like this, select your axis, and then just press enter like this. And the only issue here now is the extension lines. And to solve this problem, we can just deactivate extension lines. We can go here in our settings, then in modify, then line, and in here we can change offset from origin, for example 0.1. No, it's not good. What about 1? It's too much. 0.5. Okay, yeah, this is better. Let's go back. In here, let me just delete these dimensions. Okay, delete all of them. Here, this one as well. Then let me just use quick to set my dimensions again. And then, as I said, the only thing that you need to do is to modify some of these extension lines that might be an issue, like this, as I'm doing right now. Sometimes there might be some problems with these extension lines. I mean, sure, you are adjusting these kind of manually, but you gotta admit, this is quite faster than when you wanted to set the dimensions one by one from axis to axis. And as I said, if you want to prevent this completely, you can easily just deactivate all of your extension lines. I just left them activated so you can understand them better. So again, we are setting our exterior dimensions right now. Oh, and as you can see here, we need to do some more modifications, and this is actually very good for you. You can get more familiar with all the probable problems and their solutions. All right, and I know I told you that QuickTime is a very fast way, but try to use continue for your axis, for your exterior axis, because it is more accurate. For example, here we can use continue, just like this. So preferably try to use continue for your exterior dimensions. For interior ones, you can use both. I'm going to tell you when to use continue and when to use QuickTime. All right, let's move on. Okay, let's see if we need modifications in some other places. Okay, here again. As you can see, it is better to use continue, as I told you. Alright. Sometimes in our plan, we might see some areas with necks, and we're gonna work on their dimensions. Let's activate linear. First for this area, then activate continue. We can move this up as well. Let's move it up. Then we can use continue. Now, based on which line, let's see. Here we have another gap as well. Let me use my auxiliary lines. Okay. Then I have another neck, another corner up here. Then we go to this area, another one. Then down here, another one. Here as well. And all the way to this corner. Then again, you can control your extension lines as well. You can move them up or you can remove them completely. And again, it's quite easier to just remove them because you don't need them right now. You don't need them when you're working on your exterior dimensions. And guys, remember, you can actually separate the exterior and interior dimension layers as well. You can create one for exterior and you can create another one for your interior dimensions. Alright, now let me just go to my dimension settings, then modify, and deactivate my extension lines for now. I mean, we have our axis now and we have our plan boundary as well, and now our file is less crowded. Okay, the next areas that we can set our dimensions are your openings, but before that, we haven't drawn any window in our plan, so we need to do that first. I'm gonna draw some of the windows, and you can practice them as well. And the reason that we haven't worked on the windows yet is because we haven't talked about dynamic blocks. They are different from regular blocks. They have these parameters and stuff, and we're going to talk about them completely in time. Okay, let's see what we can do here. We can do a double click here, then open up block editor, then copy this window here, and then close block editor. Now let's go back to our file and Ctrl V to paste it. Now let's go ahead and check the dimensions in this plan. We have 80 cm, 150, 130. So first there's a 80 cm distance between the window and the exterior wall. So what we should do here is to get an offset, get an 80 cm offset from this corner, this wall, towards inside here. And again, make sure that you're working in a win layer. So in here, select win layer. And as you know, this is a block and you can change its color as well if you want to. Now, enter to move it down. Then draw a line here and MA. After that, trim this line and any other extra lines that you have. All right, now what was the next distance that we had? It was 130. Okay, so 130 to the next window. And what was the Windows dimensions? It was 150. All right, now 130 plus 150 equals 280. So we can get a copy and 280, and we can set our window here. Now again, line to close it down, then match properties, use match properties to match it with the wall thickness. And after all of that, we can use trim once again. All right, let's see what else we have. We have another 130 offset. So draw another line. You can actually put this in wall layer, so you won't have to use match properties again. Now 130 offset, 1.30. And after that, copy your window again. Okay, and from this window to the next one, we have 2.5 meter offset. First, let me draw this line and then trim out the extra ones. Now we need an offset. What was it? 2.5 meters. Okay. So, enter 2.5 meters. And then copy this window like this and enter to close it down. After that, trim. Alright, so we just drew some of the windows in this wall, in this little area, so that you'll know what you're doing. Now we are going to start setting the dimensions. You can go ahead and draw some other windows in some other walls in your plan, and you can actually use different dimensions than these ones. And remember, when I said these are dynamic blocks, it means that we can easily just grab this and change its size. So this is based on you. You can change some of the dimensions in your plan. Now, let's activate linear again. What we were supposed to do? We were supposed to set the dimensions for our openings. First, in this area. Okay. Now, guys, as you can see, the dimension line here has some kind of a thickness. Why is this? Because we are drawing in wall layer. We can put it in diamond axis again. All right, let's continue. I mean, literally with continue, from annotate with continue. Let's draw the rest of the dimensions. Okay. You can use this technique for your doors openings as well. And you can organize their places as well. You can grab this grip and move it, for example, whatever you want. Like this. So just like this, you can adjust your texts and numbers in your dimensions as well. Okay, these were the exterior dimensions and their order, which you need to pay attention to. Now we are going to talk about interior dimensions. Okay, first let's actually create a new layer here, LA. Okay, then click on new layer. For name, we can type down interior dime. And if you like, we can add a color as well. For example, let's go with purple. Then let's see what other settings we can go through. We don't want a line weight, the thickness. All right, so then we can click on set current as well. Okay, now let's go to annotate, then type down deinter, new. Again, for name, we can go on with interior dime. Okay, annotative activated. Continue. In here, put the line color on purple. Okay, and text color is okay. Then down here, extension lines deactivated, yes. All right, let's go to symbol and arrow. We can put symbol and arrow on dot this time. Okay, yeah, dot works. Put this on, leave this on blue, okay. Now let's check the rest of the settings. 2 decimals, yeah. Actually, the symbol and arrow scale for interior dimensions should be a little bit smaller, so let's change the scale. Okay, set current and close. Okay, before we start, we have a furniture plan and a dimension plan. Now, if I want to set my dimensions just like this, it's gonna be too crowded and I might make some mistakes. So let me just turn off the extra layers. Lay off. Okay, give the command. Okay, now let's turn off the furniture and these designs and patterns and hatchers. We don't need them now. So remember, after you're done with exterior dimensions and before you start working on the interior ones, turn off the layers that you don't want, or you can say don't need. Okay, now in here, you need the axis and the rest of these here, and just assume that you have done the exterior dimensions in this area as well. And actually, to do that, you have to do whatever you did up here for the X course in Y course as well. For example, you need to set the dimensions from axis to axis, end to end, corner to corner, and all of the things that we did up there. Okay, now that we turned off our layers, we need to select this plan and get a copy of it. So CO, enter, get a copy, paste it down here, and now we can turn on our layers. And if we turn on the furniture layer, this would be our furniture plan, and the other one is our dimension plan. And I can easily now work on it. So let's activate linear. Now to set the interior dimes, we can draw a straight line somewhere in our plan which goes through most of our areas. For example, here. Okay, as you can see, the text here is too large, and actually everything is too large. Actually, the symbols are too large as well. So let's delete this, and down here, put the annotation scale on 1 and 1. Now again, let's use linear, and let's draw our lines, and let's use continue as well to set the rest of the dimensions. And if there was any kind of problems, such as you can say interception between texts, you can easily just adjust them or modify them like I do here. Put one here, one up. Can't actually do anything about these stuff because they just happen because we have a lack of space in interior, mostly in interior dimensions. Now, as I said, this is quite time consuming. We need to set the dimes for X course, Y course, and different and separate areas as well. Okay, so now let's learn a new technique here. We have a Lisp called AutoDime. We can use it to set our interior dimensions with just a few clicks. Okay, let's see how it works. Okay, first of all, this Lisp is available for you. We have put them as your files, and you can download them. And to enter them into your software, You can just easily click on it and then drag it into your software, just like this. Then you'll see this window, which you can decide if you want this list to be loaded all the time or you just want it one time. You just need it one time. I'm just going to use it this time, so I'm gonna choose this option. But again, this is based on you. Now, what is its command? We can type down DMM. Do not use DM or DWM. DMM. And now the only thing that you need to do is to click on the both ends of your space, like this. Very easy, very simple. We have our interior dimes. Well, actually it counted the axis as well, so let me just go back, Control Z. Okay, let me remove all of this. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to type down layoff to turn off the axis layer as well, because we are working on interior dimensions. We don't need axis, so let me just turn them off. Now again, type down DMM, then draw a straight line like this, and now you'll have your dimensions. And after that, as always, you can adjust your texts like this. And if you think about it, this makes your job extremely easier compared to what you had to do before. Okay? Now, let's set some dimensions, this time in Y course. So, DMM, click here and here. Again, space for this side. One click, two click. This is very easy. Now, up here for X course, just like this. Now, another one here in the center. All right. Then, for the amphitheater as well. So, overall, as you can see, this Lisp, this technique can help you to get on with your work, to set your dimensions, for example, extremely faster. And remember, it works based on the last settings that you have set. So if you change something up here, for example, AutoDime would work based on this again. So remember, you should pay attention to all of the settings and items that you activate or deactivate, or some settings, for example, like scale and size, before you start working with AutoDime. And guys, when you are setting your dimes, you should be as accurate as possible so that you won't miss anything. And if you did, you can just set the dimensions manually. And another point is that when you activate this command, your snap mode would get deactivated, so you need to click on select all again. Now let's try to put a dimension here manually using linear. Click like this, and another one. So, as I said, try to be as much accurate as possible so that you won't miss anything or leave any area without dimensions. Now let's turn our layers back on, and let's see what other dimension items do we have up here. Okay, first we have a line, and it is pretty obvious it's put some dimensions based on a direction. Okay, let's see if we can use it here as an example. Okay, here in this area we can use a line. Okay, so you can easily use a line to set dimensions for areas like this. So far we learned that we can use linear to set the dimensions in both horizontal and vertical, you can say lines, both X and Y course, and you can use a line to set the dimensions in diagonal directions. The next item is angular. You can use it to find out, you can say find out the angle between two lines. Like this, you can just do 2 clicks and find the angle between two lines. Okay. The next item here is arc length, and obviously it gives you a length of an arc. For example, if we select this arc down here, this is its length. Or length for this part, or this big arc in the center of our plan. Alright, the next item is radius. Just like arc length, this one is pretty much obvious as well. You can use it to check a radius in an arc or in a circle. Now, in order to do that, you can just easily click on anywhere, any point on your object, and then it would show the radius that you have in that arc or circle. For example, let's check it again in amphitheater, in this arc in our amphitheater. Then we have diameter, and this is pretty much the same as radius, but instead of radius, it shows the diameter of your object, as you can see here. The next item is not that important. I mean, this is not really helpful or useful, you can say. It shows the midpoint, the center point of a radius. But the next item is coordinates, and this is quite important. It shows the location of a point in your workspace or in your plan. As you can see, it shows the coordinates or location of your object based on your selection in X course or Y course. Now, why can't I see the lines here? Well, because we have deactivated the extension lines in here in DIM settings, and if we activate them again, they would appear. Because we want to understand them better, let me do another example. For example, let's do this area, this point. As you can see, we can see the line as well. And we can see our coordinates in both X and Y course as well. Okay, now that we're done here, let me do another example of quick DIM so that you can understand it better and see when we can use it or how we can use it, or when it is better to use it actually. Now, as you know, to use this, you can just click on 2 points and it'll give you the dimension between those 2 points. Like this. For example, again, you can select these lines, enter, then move it up. So the difference between this technique and linear is that you don't need to click one by one on any point that you want. You just select an area and you'll have its dimension. Alright, so this was how we can use quick DIM. Okay guys, we're done with our session. Hope you have enjoyed it. In this session we talked about text and all of its settings and items that we can use, different fonts for example. And we talked about dimensions, we talked about how we can set our interior and exterior dimensions and how we can use different techniques to do them faster. Thank you so much for your attention. See you in the next session. Good luck.